Welcome, wonderful people. This is Mr. Ndabezita, and I want us to try and look at differentiating the indices. We're mainly going to focus on grade 11, grade 12, differential calculus. So this is going to be a lengthy series, but it will be divided into question 1, 2, 3, and so. I think for each question we will solve 5 problems, and we will see how they differ with one another. Now in question 1 we have y equals 4 root x minus the cube root of x. So we are going to differentiate y with respect to x, because y is written in terms of x. Y equals 4 root x minus the cube root of x. So when we differentiate, we will be differentiating y with respect to x. Now, the very first thing when you encounter a problem like this is to try and write the basis in exponential form. What do I mean by this? I have my 4. I want to remove the root of x. That becomes x to the exponent of 1/2, because we know that when we have the root of x and there is no number written here, you should know that there's always a superscript of 2, hence we have x to the exponent of 1/2. And then we're going to subtract the cube root of x. I'm going to write the base of x. Getting rid of the cube, I'm going to say 1/3. If there's no number, you say 1/2. If there's any number, you would say 1 over the number that is given to you there. So you're writing everything of x in what? You are writing that in exponential form. Very important that we understand this. Now that everything is written in exponential form, now we can start to differentiate. So we can say that the derivative of y with respect to the derivative of x. I'm saying that I'm differentiating y with respect to x. Now the first thing that I will do there, I will write my constant 4, and then I will differentiate. Remember, we are differentiating x, y with respect to x. So where I see x, I will write dy over dx of what? X 1/2 minus, there is no constant on this one, so I'll just say dy over dx of x 1/3. So I'm differentiating y with respect to x. So where I see x, I write dy over dx. This is to say that I'm going to differentiate this. This is to say that I'm going to differentiate that one. Very important. You can even do it in this way if you don't want to be confused. Very, very important. And then I have my 4. There it is. What is the derivative of y with respect to x when you are given x to the exponent of 1/2? We're going to apply the rule that says, okay, because there's multiplication between these two things, you will bring down the exponent, which is 1/2, write your x, and then you would say 1/2 subtract 1. So you bring down the exponent to the front, you write your base, and then you subtract 1 from the exponent. And then this is it. And then we go to the second one, we're going to minus. Now let's try and differentiate this one. We're going to bring the exponent to the front, write your x, have your 1/3, and then subtract 1. Very, very important. And then from here, let's try to simplify this. We can say here 4 times 1/2, that should give you 2, because 4 times 1 is 4, divided by 2 is 2. Now I have 1/2 minus 1, that should be minus 1/2. Minus, you have your 1/3. So from 1/3 I subtract 1. So I can say 1/3 subtract 1 over 1. I'm writing 1 also as a fraction. so that I can have an LCD of 3, because 1 goes into 3 without leaving any remainder. 3 into 3 goes once. So I'll have 3 into 3 goes once. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 into 3 goes 3 times. 3 times 1 is 3. So you'll have negative 2/3. Very important. So here I have my x and I have negative 2/3. And I'm done. But in most cases in grade 11 and grade 12, they love saying, write your answer with positive exponents. They love saying that. So meaning we need to make the exponents positive, as you can see that they are negative. So this would be to say I have my 2. Take this to the denominator, it becomes the root of x, because you will have x to 1/2, which is the same as root x. So I will assume that you understand that. Subtract here, I'll have my 1/3. There it is, 1/3. I'll have my x to 3rd. So just writing that with positive exponents. And I can further reduce this. I can say 2 root x minus 1/3, and I can say the cube root of x. This is exactly what I will have. Because you have your 3 as your base, you have this. This is the cube root of x. Is this correct? No. The cube root of x squared. Let's check if this would give us exactly that. So we have the cube root of x squared. Remember what we do. Leave what is inside of the root, which is x squared. Remove the root, you will have 1/3. Multiply there, you will have 2/3. Exactly what we're having in there. So this is just to verify that we are correct in our mathematics. Be that as it may, I think we will continue in this. Now, this was the first problem. Very basic, but with very much information for you to grasp. Important that we understand the basics. Right, that was the first question. No problem. Now, let me just go to the second one, because I have prepared 5 problems for this lecture. Now, the second one, we have y equal 2 root x minus 4 root x cube. Y equals 2 root x minus 4 root x cube. Now, how do we solve this? Now, first of all, we need to write this in that standard form where x is written with its exponents, because in the very same case here, we are differentiating y with respect to x. We're having y on the left and we're having x on the right. So the very first thing I will do is to write down the 2, remove the root. I know that will be 1/2 because there's no number provided, but there's always 2 there. We just don't write it. We will subtract 4x cube. Remember this. You have the root, which is 1/2. Please be very careful with this. It is highly and highly important that you be very, very careful with that. Highly and highly important. Alright, now let's see what transpires from this. So I'm going to say 2x 1/2 minus 4. I'm going to say x multiply 3 with 1 and get 3.5. 3.5. 3 times 1 is 3 divided by 2. Now that you have written it in the standard way, where you have the bases with their respective exponents, now we can begin to differentiate. We can say the derivative of y with respect to the derivative of x. This is equals to 2, factor out a constant, and then dy over dx of x 1/2, very important, minus 4 dy over dx of x 3.5. basic stuff, the fundamentals of Papa Fanzo. And we follow quite well, no problems encountered. Now when we are here, we can now begin to differentiate. I have my 2. Now differentiate x 1/2. You know that we take the exponent, bring it to the front. So I'm going to do this. 1/2 x 1/2 minus 1. Still remember this from the previous example. Minus 4. Let's do this. Bring to the front 3/2 x 3/2 minus 1. Now you are almost there, because many of the work has already been done. So what is it that we do from here? We can just say 2 times 1/2. That should give you 1, because 2 as a numerator and 2 as a denominator goes once into each other. So you'll just have x. Now 1/2 minus 1 is minus 1/2. Now the second one, we can say, how many 2's can I pull out of 4? 2 of them. 2 times 3 is 6. This is the same as saying 4 times 3 is 12. 12 divided by 2 is 6. And then we have our x 3/2 minus 1. So we have 3/2 minus 1 over 1. LCD is 2, because 2 into 2 goes once, 1 into 2 goes 2 times. So we will say 2 into 2 goes once, times 3 is 3. 1 into 2 goes 2 times 1 is 2. So this is 1/2. 3 minus 1, 3 minus 2 is 1/2. So I have my 1/2. So what if they say, write your answer with positive exponents? This would be very problematic. So I know this is the same as 1 over root x. If it was positive, it would just be the root of x. Because it is negative, it's 1 over root x. Very important. Minus 6 root x. So this is exactly what I have for the second problem. Very important that we understand the basics of Papa Fanzo Mlotshwa himself. Be that as it may, let's go to the third one. Now in the third problem, this is what we have. We're having y equal x root x minus 1 over x squared. These are the problems which were prepared for first year university students who studies mathematics, just to remind them of what they have dealt with in grade 12. So how do we differentiate this? Y equals x root x minus 1 over x squared. The same procedural method will be employed, of course, because we are differentiating y with respect to x. But we know that we need to write whatever we have on the right side in exponential form. The bases with their respective exponents. So I'm having my x. The root of x, I know this is x 1/2. Remember, there's multiplication in between. Very important. Minus, you should never differentiate when the base is on the denominator. It has to always be a numerator, and you need to find ways in order to write it as a numerator. Now I know the laws of exponent would allow me to write this 1 over x squared as x to the exponent of minus 2. Remember what I said, I will assume you understand or you have the basics. Right, remember the exponent here is 1 for x. Now I need to do some arithmetic there. When I multiply numbers of the same basis, of course I need to add the exponents. So the rule says when I multiply numbers of the same basis, I add the exponents. So you write just one base, which is x, and then you add those exponents. Simple algebra. for first year university students. And then as we move along in very high speeds, we will just add 1 and 1/2. 1 plus 1/2, I'll write them both as fractions. LCD being 2, because 1 into 2 goes 2 times, 2 into 2 goes once. 1 into 2, we said it goes 2 times. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 into 2 goes once, times 1 is 1. So this will give you 3/2. So what I'm having here is x 3/2 minus x minus 2. Now that I've written x's with their respective exponents, now I can continue with this. I can now say the derivative of x of y with respect to x would be the derivative of y with respect to x of x 3/2 minus the derivative of y with respect to x of x minus 2. And then from there, what is it that I can do? I can bring to the front, remember, write your x and then subtract a 1. 3/2 minus 1. I have my minus. Bring to the front, because it's a negative, I'm going to introduce a bracket. I'll have negative 2x, subtract a 1 from that. Very, very important that we understand the basics. And then this 3/2 x. What is 3/2 minus 1? 3/2 minus 1 over 1. 3 minus 2. The answer is 1/2. So I'm having exponent 1/2. Negative times negative is a positive. And then you have your 2x minus 2 minus 1 is minus 3. Writing this with positive exponents, this becomes 3/2 root x, because we have x to the exponent of 1/2, plus 2 divided by the cube root of x. Very, very important that we understand this. Dabezit, are you correct? No. This is x to the exponent of 3. You have your 2 divide, this becomes x to the exponent of 3. When it goes to the denominator, the exponent becomes positive. Very important that we understand this. Now that we are done with the third problem, let's go and look at the fourth one. Now, I'm just going to erase here. We have y equal 1 over 2 root x plus 4 over x squared. These are very simple basic problems that I'm dealing with, but we will escalate as time goes on. So the trick here is, how do we write x as a numerator? Because it has to be of this standard form. So I know I can say, okay, this is 1 over 2x 1/2. Removing the root there would give me this, okay, plus 4x minus 2. If I bring this to the front, the exponent becomes negative. The basics. And then from there, I can say 1/2 x minus 1/2. I have 1/2. I want to write this as a numerator, the exponent becomes negative. Plus 4x minus 2. Now, I need to differentiate now. I can say dy over dx 1/2 dy over dx minus 1/2 4 dy over dx of x minus 2. Very, very important. In order not to confuse you, I'm going to do this. Okay. Now I have my 1/2 times, bring to the front, subtract a1. Very important. Plus 4. Because there's a negative, I'm going to introduce a bracket. Bring to the front, subtract a1. Very, very important. Now, 1/2 times negative 1/2, you'd say 1 times negative 1, which is negative 1. 2 times 2 is 4x minus 1/2 minus 1. Minus 1/2 minus 1. I will just treat this as, okay, that's fine. Minus 1/2 minus 1. So, how am I going to simplify this? I'm going to do it in this way. LCD 2 into 2 goes once. 1 times negative 1 is negative 1. Keep the minus. 1 into 1 goes 2 times. 2 times 1 is 2. So this is negative 3.5. So I have negative 3.5. And then positive 4 times negative 2, it's negative 8. Minus 2 minus 1 is minus 3. I'm sure that you are getting bored of this because you already know and understand this. But you will see how important this is when we get to more complicated ones. So let's just try to write this with positive exponents. So we will have negative 1 over, you will have your 4, there it is. This becomes x3.5. Very important. Negative 1 over 4 as a denominator. Bringing this to the denominator becomes that. The exponent becomes positive. And a negative 8 over x exponent of 3. I have my negative 8 as a numerator. This becomes the denominator. And then from there, what is it that I should do? What is it that I should do? Let me just bring it here. What is it that I should do? Dy over dx equals negative 1 over 4x, 3.5, 8 over x3. Okay. Now from here, what is it that I can do? I can say negative 1 over 4. This can be written as the root of x3. Yes, because the 2, I don't write it there. I know there's a 2 there. So this becomes, let's see if this would be exactly that. Remember, you will have x3, 1/2. You multiply, you get the 3.5. Very correct. Minus 8 divided by x3. And this becomes your final answer. Now let us go to the very last one before we can complete part 1. Now I'm just going to erase all this. And let us try to look at the very last one. These questions are a little bit the same. So let me just say y equals 4 root x plus 1 1/4 root x. These problems are exactly a little bit different, but each and every problem prepares you for something important. Now we know that we need to standardize this. So we're going to have 4x 1/2 plus 1 1/4 x minus 1/2. Take this to the numerator. This is exactly what we will have. Can I now begin to differentiate? Of course. So I can say the derivative of y with respect to x, factor out a 4 dy over dx of x 1/2 plus factor out 1 1/4 dy over dx of x minus 1/2. Important that we see these basics. And then from there, 4, bring to the front and subtract 1, plus bring to the front and subtract 1, and you are done. From here, 4 times half, it's 2. Half minus 1 is minus 1/2. 1 1/4 multiplied by negative 1/2, you should get negative 1/8. X minus 1/2 minus 1 is minus 3/2. Okay, and then from here, writing with positive exponents, you will find 2 divided by the root of x for this one, minus 1/8 the root of x3 for negative 3/2. Very, very important that we understand this, and this will bring us to the end of the first part. I will see you in question 1. Sorry, I will see you in part 1, question 2.